Hi, and welcome to Business Assistants. Today's Business Assistant is for the entrepreneur who is also a female. If you are an entrepreneur woman, Create and Cultivate is the website for you. It's createcultivate.com. Create and Cultivate is a modern media company for working women. They have blogs and articles and information on small businesses, wellness, marketing, and PR, money, work, side hustle, life, even about the COVID-19. There are many blogs, articles, and resources and information for the entrepreneurial woman. And they also have webinars, and they had seminars at some point, but right now all of their seminars are webinars, of course, because of the pandemic. But there is much information on there. They have a membership club, and they offer courses, and they also have a newsletter and an email newsletter, so you can sign up on their website and receive tips and information on being an entrepreneur and having side hustles and having a small business. And they interview women who've done it. They also talk about how to have a business with your spouse and to keep the marital bliss, without the sometimes arguing or the things that happen when you're married and own a business together. So it's a lot of insightful information on their website, createcultivate.com. I'm sure the information can be used for men and women, of course, but they highlight and focus on women entrepreneurs. So if you are a woman entrepreneur or a man entrepreneur and you just want to check it out, go to createcultivate.com for more information on this website. That's it for this moment of Business Assistant. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back right after this message. Len Garza is an advocate for business community and entrepreneurs. His areas of practice are corporate law, estate planning, and real estate. If you are in the New York, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania area and would like more information, call 208-557-8705 or email len.lglaw@gmail.com. And we're back. Our next segment is my interview with Len Garza, an entrepreneur of the law. Let's take a listen at this interview. So were you raised in an entrepreneur environment?
No, I didn't come from a family of business owners per se. It's always something that stuck out and I was interested in the back of my mind. And there are certain times throughout my working history that it kind of came to the forefront. And most recently, at the end of last year, it was just the right time to make the move. Little did I know that a pandemic was coming up, so on paper it probably wasn't, probably didn't look as good as if you would have showed me that on paper that was coming. But this year has gone smashingly well, and I've been able to help a lot of my clients, and it's been very gratifying helping small businesses through these difficult and unprecedented times.
So then, what would you say started to spark the idea of entrepreneurship, being that you didn't see your parents doing it?
Some of my friends had parents who were entrepreneurs. Some of them had siblings, reading about different entrepreneurs in the news, and it's an area that I've always been interested in. This idea of really, it really seemed something that was distinctly American, so to speak, going off and charting your own course. Now, the key with that is always, well, what course? What are you going to do? That's crucially important. So the idea of being your own boss and going out and you always have others that you can lean on, and ideally mentors and other counselors and advisors, but really something where it being one's own business was something that sparked, I'd say maybe through high school and through college, but I really didn't have a way of making it happen. It seemed, I would even say it wasn't even a dream at that point. It was more, oh, that's an interesting way to live a life. but I didn't really consider it something that would be in my path until I really got out more in the working world and saw different types of entrepreneurs and seeing different ways that it could happen, different types of businesses. But even then, it didn't really ring and sing out to me that, look, this is what you're going to be doing eventually. But it became more of a fully formed thought that, well, if I can find the right business idea, and I can find the right support help and have the right knowledge, and it can be the right time, and all of these things come together, then maybe I'll do it. And what I learned very quickly is it's never the perfect time to go off on your own. There are always going to be challenges and always things that are going to be in the way, but that you have a plan for how to cope with those, and that you have the it's a popular book out there, and it's a word I hear a lot now, especially this year. But if you have the grit and the mental fortitude and the passion and a lot of these things together, you can definitely make it work. And when you're able to make it work, it's extremely gratifying.
Okay. In a brief summary, explain to us, the viewers, your expertise.
Sure. So I'm a business lawyer, and I help businesses, emerging businesses, small businesses, middle market businesses. So really what we're looking at is businesses with maybe a few founders, anywhere from 50 to 100 employees, sometimes fewer, many times fewer than that. But I help those businesses form, help them grow, help them with all types of agreements and transactions. The companies I help with, a lot of them think of me as their outside general counsel. And what does that mean? Well, they don't have an attorney working directly under them on payroll or directly for them, but what I do is they call me and they retain me as needed. So if they have an important business deal coming, a merger, they want to spin off a division, or they're thinking of buying a new business or potentially selling, I work with them and help them position legally to be able to do that, along with their other advisors, their CPAs, investment bankers, and many times other advisors and professionals that are in these deals. So I help them with those transactions, helping them in hiring employees, independent contractors, and also reviewing, drafting, and negotiating various types of agreements with their vendors, clients, customers, and potentially other partners for joint ventures. So just about everything that a business would run into, a smaller emerging business, I would be able to help them out and do so at a very favorable price point compared to many of the larger firms out there who do this type of work.
Okay. On your road to entrepreneurship, a challenge you ran into that you were able to overcome, and what exactly you did to overcome it?
Sure. So a big challenge and there are other things that came out of this, but the challenge initially was mindset, right? Getting in the right mindset. I think coming from an environment coming from a corporate or a law firm environment where you're able to count on that paycheck every 2 weeks, and being able to shift to a different model to where, no, it's not pay every couple of weeks. So you'll have to manage your firm's finances, cash flow better, had to get a lot more knowledge and understanding of accounting, finance, and their impact on the business, because it's one thing to know law and know business law and being able to help clients, but it's another to be able to do so internally within my own firm and be able to make sure that I'm practicing what I preach as far as telling the clients I deal with, who a lot of them are entrepreneurs, making sure that they're protected and they have sound businesses from a legal perspective going forward. So getting that mindset, keeping the determination, the grit, and I have passion for it. I've always had passion. So making sure to keep my eyes on the prize, so to speak, and not only doing the legal work, but also it's important to go out there and continually keep doing client development and looking for opportunities, active listening with clients, making sure that I'm on top of any issues that they may have, and be more proactive rather than reactive, which is the way some clients are before they hire me. So I guess mindset is one of the big challenges, and really it's an ongoing challenge just to make sure you're in the optimal mindset, and I'm in the optimal mindset to keep doing well as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So the email I received mentioned that you had I believe a podcast where you were discussing signs of a business owner should see or notice in order to sell their own business. And so can you name 3 signs a business owner should sell their business as opposed to keeping it?
Sure. One of the signs is you have to have the passion for the business, enough to take a long-term viewpoint in the business. And if you're not passionate about it, you're not spending the time on it, it's something that really doesn't drive you, maybe is it did when you were first forming the business and keeping it going, then it's really a time to talk with the right advisors and figure out what you need to do, because it could very well be time to sell. Hopefully the business is doing well, or at least hasn't plateaued or isn't decreasing in sales, because that makes it a little bit more difficult. You want to make sure there are different things you may be able to do if you have the runway to make sure to get the business on the right track. But passion is a big thing. It's a key thing. If you don't have it, or if you sense it's starting to flag, that could be a time to start talking with the right advisors about things that you need to do. Another thing, not necessarily, but just depending on, sometimes closely linked, is what other interests do you have? Is your business one of the primary interests that you have, or are there other things, other types of business ventures that may be more attractive to you than the business you're currently running as an entrepreneur was back when you started? And if that's the case, and you have other interests you'd like to look into, it can be a perfect time to looking into selling your business. And a third one is looking at what's going on in your industry, in the economy. And if it's something where you don't like the positioning of your particular company within the region, within other technologies or companies out there, maybe it needs a new vision that a new owner could provide, assuming that you don't want to see it through the upcoming hurdles. So maybe somebody else might be better to run the helm, and you want to pull back and do something else. That's a third sign that it could be a good time to talk to advisors and really get the benefit of their experience and their advice to see if it in fact is a good time to sell or begin thinking about preparing to sell your business.
Okay. What are 3 reasons to have a business contract, and is there ever a time when it is not necessary?
Sure. So 3 reasons to have a business contract. Well, you want to make sure you protect yourself. So there are a number of different risks out there. You want to have everything in writing. So number 1, protect yourself. Number 2, you want to have it for clarity. And this not only helps you, but helps the other side. So if you're doing business on a handshake, I wish we could all do business on a handshake, but unfortunately, when you or your business gets in any type of transaction of any type of importance whatsoever, the stakes get higher. So you want to make sure that you and the other side are talking apples to apples. And the best way to do that is make sure things are reduced to writing, get it in writing. Because once you have it in writing, a skillfully drafted contract by skilled counsel, then you have it go back and forth to the other sides, and then you really start getting into the details. So if there are misunderstandings about what both of you are agreeing to, or if there are any holes that maybe both the business parties haven't discussed yet, but are important to get out of the way before you really start getting into business with each other, at least those are tackled up front. And so that's very important to make sure that you have that all in writing and get that ironed out, so it really paves the way for the business relationship. And third, it's better for your business in that you help reduce the likelihood of litigation and misunderstandings down the road. If you don't have a written contract, there's always the chance, not that either side could have anything malicious intent or any nefarious intent going on at all. It may be just a very straightforward, understandable misunderstanding that once you get a few months down the road, a year or two down the road, one of the sides says, you know what, this contract, it actually, we don't have a contract anymore because I thought we were only talking about it being for a year term. And then maybe you're remembering, no, it was for an indefinite term, until one of us says that we don't want to do business anymore. When you have any type of dispute or potential misunderstanding, you always want to have a document to go back to, and that's your contract. So you can see it, again, in a skillfully drafted contract, a lot of the different variables and consequences that happen in a business are covered in that, and it provides clarity to both sides. So neither of you have to think, well, I think I'm right and you're wrong, and how do we make sure? Well, I guess we have to go to court. Being in court is not best for anybody's business, I like to say, except in very specific circumstances. It's not like the movies. The best thing you can do for your business is run your business, not be fighting things out and disputes out in court. So having well-drafted contracts is an excellent start to doing that.
Thank you. I will say it's good to always have a contract, only because if you end up in court without a contract, there's really nothing the judge can do for you. And I mean, I've done something as simple as I sold something on eBay and it was a pickup. And I had a contract proving, you got to sign this to prove you picked it up, because you never know.
Exactly.
You just never know. When you see those family and friends arguing with each other and suing each other on television, you got to say, well, the family can do it. Who's to say a complete stranger won't,
Absolutely.
try to do something. So.
And one of your questions, Casey, and I think it's a great question, is there any time where it may not be necessary? It's very hard to say there are times when it wouldn't be necessary, because when you're entering into a transaction with somebody, if it's important, and this is subjective to you or whoever is considering, if it's important, I'd want it in writing. If we're talking about things that are trivial, or I don't care, or we're talking about a transaction that doesn't really matter to me, or I can afford to lose maybe a certain investment in there, maybe at that point, who cares? But at that point, who really enters into those types of transactions or thinks about it? We're talking about, anytime you get into something, talking to a business relationship or transaction with the other side, where there are stakes, there are things that you actually care about for your business. A particular transaction is important for your business, so you want to get it in writing. Doesn't always mean it has to be a 20-page contract, 10-page contract, but you do want to have the key terms outlined. And depending on the level of importance, I highly recommend you definitely get a lawyer to help you out, rather than going the do-it-yourself route online, because that can be a false sense of confidence. They could have a contract there that looks fine to the untrained eye, but actually has multiple holes that an attorney experienced in this area would be able to point out and say, look, you need to add this provision, you need to add an indemnification provision, you need to add these other provisions as far as default, allowing you to get out of the contract. there are a number of different things where attorney can add in there and help you out. And it may have some cost up at the beginning, but it can save you many thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars or more on the back end if there's ever a dispute with the other party.
Thank you. So I want to ask you a question that's not on the list.
Sure.
Many people who go, well, they don't teach entrepreneurship in school. So many people who start a business kind of just rush through and they don't really take the time to research. So I'm sure with the many businesses you've worked with, you might have seen a mistake being repeated by many different businesses. And sometimes the smallest mistake can make the biggest consequences. And so was there any one mistake or two mistakes you've seen repeatedly done that anyone starting a business should know before they start so that they don't cause more problems before they even get started?
Right. So we've touched on a few of these here, Casey, and I've had many situations. I'm dealing with them currently, and I know I'm going to deal with them in 2021 because this is the way things just seem to go. There are a lot of entrepreneurs entering the marketplace for a variety of reasons, right? So one of the biggest things is talk to advisors, talk to them early in the process, whether you hire any or not. And I recommend, at some point you should hire, but even though you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you're all alone. Talk to an experienced CPA that you trust. Talk to multiple CPAs. Pick the right one that you like. Do your own research online. By all means, do your own research online. But when it comes down to it, definitely talk to a CPA that you trust. Talk to friends, other business colleagues that you have. Get good recommendations and talk to somebody you trust, a CPA, financial advisor, lawyer, and they'll be able to give you a framework of some of the things you need to think about going forward. One of the cases I'm dealing with right now are two surgeons actually that have been running their practice for a number of years, and they never set up their organization properly. They actually formed a professional corporation, but they never had the governing documents drafted, which a lawyer would help with. So they didn't hire a lawyer. They went the do-it-yourself route. And these are what many would consider, looking at a surgeon, oh, these are very sophisticated professionals, and they are, but they're not experts in all the legal ramifications of what needs to be done. They're not accounting experts either, just the same as I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a medical expert. So right now I'm helping them unravel it's costly, some of the things that they have to do in accordance with New York law. The case is actually in New York and having to deal with their statutes. So it's one of the, if they would have gotten the right advisor at the beginning to help give them some guidance and pave the way, it could have gone a long way to avoiding the issues that they're having right now. And it's just one of those things where, again, just because you're an entrepreneur and you're independent with a lot of things, it doesn't mean, it shouldn't mean that you're all alone. Getting counsel, getting help, leaning on those in different areas. It's a multidisciplinary approach that can really help you avoid mistakes down the road. Mistakes are going to be part of life, especially in business. You learn from those and move on, but the key is to try to avoid the big ones that you can't simply learn from, but avoid the big ones that really can set you back in business and potentially put you out of business if you're not properly protected.
Thank you. So I'm sure you noticed they're starting to shut down again, and business owners are panicking again. And
Sure.
So they're not thinking, they're not taking the time to think, how can I get through this? So is there any advice you can give to those who are just too worried and are not really thinking at the moment?
Sure. I think in any situation, having the right mindset is key, and also knowledge is power. They may be able to shut down your business, but you can, like I said earlier, reach out to your advisors, call your advisors. maybe there's some insight that they can provide you of things you can do going forward. I think a lot of people think that, I happen to be one of them, think, whatever the new bill is, CARES Act 2, whatever you want to call it, it's coming one way or another. And it probably should have been here by now, but really, not to get political, it's coming, and whatever help is provided there is going to come probably later than a lot of people need it, but that's coming around the corner. Be thinking about what you can do to position when that does, when that act does come down, and how you can open up and keep your business alive. And again, being able to lean on other advisors, your attorney, your CPA, telling them the situation, and seeing what recommendations they have, because we're really all at the forefront of this in different ways. I remember when the first CARES Act came in March, I told many people, many of my colleagues, that it was like you're in college again or in school again, cramming for a final. Trying to read through the 800 pages as fast as you can and interpret it, because I was getting phone calls from clients all the time, and other CPAs, other lawyers, and I'm asking questions as well, as we're trying to figure out what are the implications of this act, what, if there is help involved, what type of strings attached is there for those loans, PPP loans, and other things, and really learning what it means. And we're still doing that with more guidance from Congress as the year goes along. So really, that's another thing, not being isolated, really staying connected to others, advisors, friends, family, and because we're all trying to see what we can do to help out. Me from the advisor side, trying to help out in whatever way I can from the legal side. So yeah, just really staying connected rather than isolate is a big key.
Okay, and so the last question for today, this is the fun question I like to ask. So if you can have a conversation with any entrepreneur and they could either be dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Any entrepreneur, there are a lot of them. I'm sure the one that just immediately came to my mind is, of course, here I'm in New Jersey, so of course Thomas Edison. I've always liked the quote that he had about failing to make 10,000 versions, I believe, of the light bulb, and somebody asked him, how does it feel to fail 10,000 times? And he said, I didn't fail. I just found 9,999 ways not to make a light bulb. And that quote to me says so many things. And it's again, which I keep on pointing to, it's the mindset of, failure. What is failure while you're really working towards something, and how imperative it is to, okay, if something didn't work out how you planned, learn from it and move to the next iteration. If the next one's gonna be a failure, so to speak, then learn from it what you can. And each time you're moving forward, you're learning something. These have been hard times for everybody this year. But regardless of what any of us has been going through, I firmly believe there's always something that can be learned from it. Whether you realize it at the time can be very hard, but sometimes you can. But whether it be 6 months, a year from now, maybe multiple years from now, ideally, you could be able to look back on it. I know this is true for me, looking back at previous recessions and hard times and being able to see the things where I thought I was losing ground at the time, maybe not doing well business-wise. I learned some very valuable lessons that go beyond business and things that I'm using today to be a success business-wise, not only business-wise, but as a person. So there's always something you can learn. And I think that quote that Thomas Edison said, that's the reason that he probably would be at the top of my list for entrepreneurs to meet.
And that is it for this episode of The Gold Minded. I'd like to thank our guest, Len Garza, for coming through. And I want to thank you, the audience, for watching. Thank you and have a great day.